Hello friends! Welcome to your mala class. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over how to make a mala necklace and meditate with it for a 2 to 4-year-old, 5 to 8-year-old, and 9 years and up. So there'll be 3 different variations of the malas that we're going to be going through, and I will be discussing briefly where the malas came from, why we use them, then how to make them, and lastly, how to meditate with them. Let's get started. Okay, so what is the story behind mala beads? Well, way back when, the yogis would want to chant 108 times because 108 is seen as a very special number in yoga. That is for a few different reasons, but overall it's seen as a number of wholeness. So they see it as the number of the universe, the number of connection, and the number of being whole with mind, body, and soul. So the yogis developed these malas to help them keep track of their chanting so that they could go through and chant their chants 108 times. For our children's yoga, we're not going to actually be making 108 knots or beads on our malas. We can just use a multiple of 108. So for my littlest yogis, 2 to 4-year-olds, you will need 9 beads. With the next age group, 5 to 9, any multiple of 108 is fine. You could do 54, which is half of 108, or all the way down to 9 if you wanted like a really small one, just as like a bracelet. They could range from maybe like little wooden beads like what I'm using, or glass or plastic, colorful beads. You could even integrate the colors of the chakras in there. You could do lava beads. And with lava beads, they're really cool because they'll absorb scents. So you could actually put a little, some drops of some essential oils on the beads, and it absorbs it and then helps your child smell that calming essential oil smell while they're meditating or doing their yoga practice or just needing a calming, relaxing moment. And then for the older yogis, we're actually just going to be using some twine. So where you could find this, probably at a craft store or a beading store, also with your beads and your twine. If you live in Calgary, there's Beads and Plenty More. That was like one of my first jobs as a teenager. I worked at Beads and Plenty More, and they're awesome. They have everything. There's one location in the south end of Calgary. If you're outside of Calgary, then hopefully there's a bead or craft store close to you. Otherwise, this particular twine was ordered through a supplier called Twine by Design. So then you could order twine off of there if you can't find the right thickness. This is the one that I was given in my kids' yoga training. So that's where they recommend getting it from. Let's move on to how to make your malas now. So the first mala that we'll be making is for 2 to 4 years old. For this, the only materials you'll need are a pipe cleaner and some beads. For the 2 to 4-year-old malas, we're going to be just making a little bracelet. So to make these, after you've chosen the type of bead that you like and the color of pipe cleaner, all you'll do with your kiddo is start to thread your beads onto the pipe cleaner. So this is really great for their fine motor skills, their focus, and their concentration as well. We're using 9 beads today because they have little wrists, and 9 is a multiple of 108. Like we discussed earlier, 108 is a very, very special yoga number. we use for wholeness. Okay, so after you have all of your beads onto your pipe cleaner, it'll look something like this. And all you have to do is wrap around your little one's wrists and twist the ends together, cut off any extra, make a little knot with it. And there you have it, a little mala bracelet for your little yogi. The next mala that we'll be going over is for children, ideally ages 5 to 8 years old. So for this one, you'll need some string, approximately an arm's length long, or I'm just using some twine here. And then you'll need your beads. So once again, you could use whatever kind of bead you like. As I mentioned before, you could use some colorful plastic or glass beads. You could use wooden beads like what I'm doing. Or, as I talked about before, you can use some lava beads and actually put little drops of essential oils in there to help your kiddo feel a bit calmer and more relaxed. So with this, I recommend taping the ends of your string or your twine. Let's take a little bit of tape and wrap it around the end. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. And then it'll make it easier to string all the beads on. For this, you can use the full 108 beads, or you can do a multiple of 108. And then you choose the pattern that you'd like. So you could just string them on just like this. Or to look a bit more like a traditional mala, do you see there's little knots in between all the beads? So for a yogi who's a little bit older and wants to do the knots, you could start at halfway and after you put your bead on, you just make a knot. Just a regular knot there, like how you would tie your shoes. And then you put your next bead on. So then it will start to look something like that. Okay, and our last mala is for 9 years and older, and this is a knotted mala. So this takes a lot more patience than just beading on the strings or doing the beads with a little knot in between, which is why I'd recommend it for my older yogis. So for this one, you will need a thicker string. See how much thicker this is than just the regular twine that I was using before. It's quite different. So for this, you'll want it about 2 arms lengths, so much longer than our last one. And you're going to start at the middle. Okay, so measure out 2 arms length, snip it, and then fold it in half so you can create your first knot in the middle and then work from either end. Now, this you probably won't get 108 knots on, and that's okay. Then I recommend doing half of that, which would be 54 knots. Okay, so I'll show you how to do the knot now. Let's get started. So for this, you'll need to drape the string over your left pointer finger and then wrap it around your finger so that it makes the shape of an X. Do you see how I did that? Good. And then you wrap it around your finger twice more towards your palm. 1, 2. So now you see that I have 1, 2, 3 lines of string around my finger. And 1, one line of string going up my finger. Okay, so now this is the tricky part. You're going to slowly take it off of your pointer finger. Try not to get any of these lines out of their alignment that they're in right now. Try to keep them in that same order. Okay. Good. So now we're going to take the end of your string and push it through the back end. Okay. Pull it all the way through. Keep the strings in order. Okay, do you see? Now it's loose, but they're all still in order. And I'm going to pull it tight. And I've got a knot. And then you just continue on until you have lots and lots of knots, like what I've done with my knotted mala. Once you've done all of your knots, you can tie off the ends, take the tape off of your ends, and you just make a regular knot. Okay, you can just pull the knot really tight like that, and then you can fray the ends. Some kids like to add like a special bead at the end, or glue in some feathers. You decide how you want to decorate your knotted mala. Okay, so that was 3 different ways to make your malas for different age groups. And now, how do we use these to meditate? Well, traditionally, the yogis would take their middle finger and their thumb and chant with it 108 times. So this helped them keep track of that 108 that I talked about before. And then they just push it onto each finger, say the chant, push it onto the next one, say the chant again, and they just repeat the chant over and over and over until they get to the end of their mala. And then they know that they've chanted 108 times. For you, what you can do is take the mala that you made and take deep breaths with it. So pinch the first knot or the first bead, big breath in, big breath out. Another great way to use the essential oils in your beads, because then your child is breathing in that calming, relaxing scent, and it just amplifies it for them. Move on to the next one, big breath in and out, in and out. Or you can do a little chant, peace begins with me. Move on to the next beat. Peace begins with me. Move on to the next one. Peace begins with me. Maybe you want to choose one word or a feeling that you want, and you chant that over again. Peace and joy. Peace and joy. Peace and joy. So that would be how you would meditate with your own creation of your mala. I hope you have so much fun making your malas. I'd love to see any photos of them. You can tag me in some pictures on Instagram at Kayla Elise Yoga. And if you have any questions or comments at all, please type in a comment below and let me know. If you're in the Facebook group, you could post some photos in there, or if you have any questions, just send me a Facebook message. And I'd love to chat with you and see your malas. Have a wonderful day, friends. Bye.